Welcome to MetLife Stadium for Week 13 of New York Jets football. The Jets welcome in the NFC West, leading Seattle Seahawks at 6-5. There's Jets All-Pro defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. And I know it's December 1st here out in the tailgate zone presented by USVI, but the football gods really said quickly, here's some December football weather. Ethan Greenberg, Eric Allen, Quincy Enunwa here on set. Jets Seahawks in a couple hours after the Jets bye week. We got Nick Mangold coming up shortly. We have Caroline Hendershot. But like I said, December football, EA, it really came quick.
It's definitely cold out there. Listen, we saw Quinnen Williams walking into the building today. Hopefully he is ready for a second Thanksgiving feast because the Jets have to get after former Jets quarterback Geno Smith today.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully it's a little too cold for these Seahawks, clip their wings a little bit because they have an amazing passing attack, right? They get the ball down the field really well with their three receivers. The Jets are going to have a little bit of a challenge, but I'm looking forward to see how they do coming off that bye week.
You know, Geno Smith, it's interesting. He's on one hand the NFL's second leading passer. He really throws the football because in that same breath, he leads the NFL in interceptions. Not a whole lot of touchdowns, EA, but a lot of yards to two very good receivers.
Oh, yeah. He's leading the National Football League in terms of yards per game, 275. But like you mentioned, he's prone to turn it over at times. He leads the league with the 12 interceptions, and he also has been sacked a number of times this year. That's 37 in all. Ooh. Conversely, the Jets' defense, third in the National Football League with 37 sacks themselves.
Yeah, and not to mention the pressure. Like the Jets pressure at the fifth highest rate in the NFL. Geno Smith gets pressured at the seventh highest rate in the NFL. Like you said, hopefully a second serving of Thanksgiving is under
there he is
shortly here. And there's the former Jets quarterback. First of all, is he wearing the headphones under the beanie?
Under the beanie, man. It's cold. You got to do whatever you can.
But you wouldn't go headphones over the beanie?
I mean, maybe you want to have that sound a little bit better, closer to your ear.
All right, give us some inside intel on Geno Smith, because you were here when he started his NFL career, and we've seen him continue to develop. And now, listen, he's got the Seahawks tied atop the NFC West.
Yeah, absolutely. A little low-known fact. I was his last touchdown pass as a Jet.
There you go, kid.
Okay.
Against Baltimore in 2016. But, yeah, Geno's a hell of a talent. Yeah, hell of a talent, man. He can throw the ball down the field. He can make all the throws. It's one thing that he's always done since he came out of West Virginia. And I think one thing that he's been doing really well with this team is he's finding his guys. He's got three different receivers that really can get down the field. All of them can get down the field and make a big play for him. But he's taking a lot of sacks, right? He has 2 games that he has 7+ sacks. That's a lot of times that he's been put on the ground. So, I mean, with this Jets defensive line, they started to pick it up a little bit. We saw Quinnen Williams starting to get those sacks that he wasn't getting in the beginning of the season. So it's a great opportunity for him to really show that he's the best D tackle in MetLife because, man, Dexter Lawrence had 3 against Geno.
Yeah, and Leonard Williams, another former Jet.
Yeah.
He was all over the place last week for the Seahawks against the Arizona Cardinals, key divisional victory for them.
Yeah, much like Quincy was a teammate of Geno Smith, Quinnen Williams was actually a teammate of Leonard Williams in 2019 for a little bit before Leonard was traded to the crosstown rival Giants. And we were talking about Geno Smith earlier. For more on Aaron Rodgers, let's head inside the stadium to Caroline Hendershot.
Yeah, Ethan, there were some reports that came out last week while the Jets were on their bye that said Aaron Rodgers did not want to play for the New York Jets in 2025. Well, he went on the Pat McAfee show on Tuesday and said those reports were false. He said there's a lot of things that are out of his control, so he's going to wait until the end of the season to make the decision if he even wants to play in 2025. So if he does play in 2025, he wants it to definitely be for the New York Jets. So all of those reports were false, according to Aaron Rodgers. He did say today they're in a difficult part of their season. It comes down to being motivated internally and playing for something bigger than themselves.
For the first time in a long time, Aaron Rodgers is not on the New York Jets injury report. But what about the other Jets injuries heading into today's game?
Yeah, there were definitely some bigger injury updates heading into Week 13. Now, the Jets placed left tackle Tyron Smith on injured reserve yesterday with a neck injury. So he's out for the next 4 games at least. There's only 6 games left in the season, so we'll see if we even see him again later this season. But that means Olu Fashanu is getting his second start at left tackle today. And then on the other hand, C.J. Mosley, he also has been dealing with a neck injury. He was out the last 4 games. Now, he got back introduced into some light tackling this week. While he was a full participant on Wednesday and Thursday, he was actually limited on Friday's practice. So Coach Olbrich said that he was hopeful that C.J. Mosley would be ready to go, but he was not 100%. And C.J. Mosley himself added he was not trying to rush the rehab process, and he wasn't trying to rush back.
Thanks, Caroline. Appreciate it. And C.J. Mosley, told a couple reporters he got dinged up in Thursday's practice. Felt like he took on a little bit of a big hit, felt the residual effects. And Jets fans, make sure you never miss a single update. Text Jets to 26154 to receive the latest team news, game day alerts, and more straight to your phone. Terms and conditions do apply. You're watching Pregame Central presented by USVI. We're out here in the tailgate zone. Nick Mangold joining us live on set as Jets Seahawks is a couple hours away. But you look like you're pretty warm, even though it's a little chilly outside.
You look like you're pretty cold.
No, I'm okay. I'm all right. I got the gloves.
It very well. Quincy's doing a great job here. You look cold.
You think I look that cold?
You look cold.
I actually feel pretty good. Maybe I'm just a little red in the nose.
No, I don't know. It's an aura.
Maybe you can't see it, through the shades.
It's the wind.
Give you a fair shake.
It's the wind.
Fair enough.
Hey, it still is Thanksgiving weekend, and we have to salute our pit crew out here who did a lot of movement during Caroline's hit.
We make it happen, essentially. It's
Absolutely.
December football. We're here to make it happen. Nick, we were talking about Aaron Rodgers and not being on the injury report. Jeff Ulbrich said, he's excited to see what a healthy Aaron Rodgers can do, maybe a little more quarterback movement. As an offensive lineman, how much does that help you when your quarterback is able to be fully healthy and be able to wiggle a little bit in the pocket?
Yeah, you love a little wiggle, and I think this is the first time the Jets have had the opportunity to really have a true rest. We've had these Thursday night games, we've had these Monday night games, Sunday night games. So there's been a lot of the London game. There's been a lot of travel, a lot of things going on. You're like, oh, well, it's a mini bye. Well, it's not really a mini bye. You get it 2 days away, but you don't really get to let your body really shut down and recharge. And so I think this week was great for them to be able to recharge. You can tell it, from Aaron saying how, he's ready to go and feels healthy and he's off the injury report. So I think it should be a good thing for him.
That's a huge point there, the self-scout, because Jeff Ulbrich took over basically the planes halfway over the Atlantic, and then he jumped in the cockpit, and he's flying this thing. Now he finally had an opportunity to take a step back. The Jets are encouraged about where their run game is going as far as that direction is concerned, but they need more explosive in the pass game, and they got to limit more explosive in the pass game defensively, Q.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Nick Mango will be a proponent of this, right? They need to run the ball a lot more. They throw the ball the most in the red zone, 5% more than the next team, and 13% more than the next team with a winning record, right? So you got to start running the ball. You got to give it to Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and listen, as a coach, right? You coach the O-line. I know that's something that you tell your guys that once it gets down there, let your big guys kind of go out there and have some fun.
Exactly. I think the run game is a big thing of, it's like, and I told my kids this in high school, it's like chopping down a tree, right? You are not going to chop down a tree with one swing of an axe. You got to keep chopping and chopping and chopping, and finally that tree's going to fall. That's the same thing in the run game. And if you're truly committed to the run game, we did that with Rex Ryan, with the ground and pound, and really driving to it, is that you keep pounding a team and they will give up, right? But it doesn't come with, you're not going to get 10, 15 yards a clip in the first quarter. You're going to get 2, 3, maybe 4 yards, and that's what you got to do to get those big gains in the fourth quarter. And, which I think we do have, especially out of Garrett Wilson, I see it a lot, we get wide receivers blocking. You get wide receivers blocking down the field. That's how you get your explosive games in the run game.
Garrett Wilson is one of 2 Ohio State Buckeyes, much like yourself, playing in this game.
We're a little mourning right now. I love my Ohio State brethren, but listen, I would, if we could just ease up before you start firing shots.
No, we're not. No shots. There's no shots.
Okay.
It was more about that there's a couple talented receivers on set here, or not on set, but really on this field here in a couple hours with Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Look, JSN, I spoke to Isaiah Oliver about this in the locker room on Friday. Isaiah Oliver played against the Seahawks when he was with the Niners last year. He said you could tell JSN was very talented. This year, he's running with his routes with a lot more confidence. Now, for the Jets and Garrett Wilson, Garrett's been the go-to guy even before Devontae Adams was acquired. What do you want to see from this guy, your Ohio State brethren, Nick Mangold, over the last 6 games?
I want to see just consistency of, getting to the spot where he needs to be. I know him and Aaron have been working really hard, since Aaron's been here, being on the same page, and you like to see that continue and to see explosive plays coming out of him. He is an explosive play maker, and I'd like to see that really come in to fruition where he's making those plays that explode the offense, that allow them to run the ball. You run the ball at a strong clip, and now play action comes into play. So I think he has the ability. I know he does. I love him. He's the Ohio State Buckeye alumni friend and brother. So I want to see the best for him.
I like the way the Seahawks cornerbacks are playing, Witherspoon and Wallen, and how about Kobe Bryant getting into the end zone last week against Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, listen, those guys are talented. We've always talked about the battle between Wallen and better than a little bit of time, and we could see some big plays out there.
Seahawks have a pair of very talented cornerbacks, like you guys just said. Devin Witherspoon actually lines up 40% of his snaps in the slot, which you don't see that a whole lot from someone who was drafted as high as Devin Witherspoon. To go back to now the ground and pound in the run game, Nick, like when the weather turns like this, and you have a guy with like Breece Hall who's dealing with some knee issues during the week where he was limited, maybe you go to a heavier dose of Braylon Allen this time of year?
I'm a big fan of Braylon Allen, and that's not saying anything against. I know, I'm partial to my conference. Now we got like 30 teams. So
it's crazy.
Our conference. And it's not taking anything away from Breece Hall, but what I love about this young kid is the way that he puts his head down and gets yards, but also him in the pass protection. He does a great job. I saw it in practice in August where he stepped up and picked up a blitz that you wouldn't see a rookie usually do, and so I think that's pretty impressive as well. And so to have that combination of run game and being able to do pass protection is something special.
I'm wondering if it's going to help these young guys' confidence what happened late against the Colts. Not defensively. I'm going to go back to the last offensive possession where Aaron Rodgers, who we're watching right now, warm up, hits Xavier Gibson. And he also hit Malachi Corley on that drive. So maybe those guys get a little bit of juice just from those moments late in a ball game.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I've had a couple years here where the season didn't go the way that we wanted it to go. And I know as a young guy, those are the times where you get a little bit more confident because, they're going to try to find ways to just be a little bit more extravagant with the plays, right? You're not going to go with those normal plays that you run. You might give Malachi Corley another end around, maybe give him something else, right? You want to see what you got on your roster. So these young guys, they got to take advantage of these opportunities, right? I think the season is not over, and nobody should believe that it's over. But you might see a little bit of a change in the offensive plays.
Yeah, that's a good point here as we watch Rodgers. Nick, what's your take on where the Jets are at? Because they have an interim head coach in Jeff Ulbrich. They have an interim GM in Phil Savage. And there are 6 games to play right now.
Yeah, that's a lot of games to play. And the positive side, we did not lose the bye. So we are looking on the positive side and moving on up. And that is the thing now where you're looking at, all right, listen, this is a team in transition. And that the writing is on the wall. It's already been done. Now it's about proving not only yourself on the back of your jersey, your name, but also the name on the front of your jersey, the Jets. So I think there's 2 things, like those 2 things, putting that out on the film, because there's no guarantee anybody's going to be here next year.
Right, that's right.
So if you want to continue playing football, you better put good film out there so some other team might pick you up if you're not here. And if you're here, you want that new coach to be like, yes, I want this guy here. I want to build my team around him.
Greens, I know you love that quote from Brick this week when he said, tape has no context. The film doesn't lie.
Yeah, I do. And, it's kind of like I think this time of year, not saying this is the case for the Jets fans, but everyone starts to look at, where you are in draft positioning. That's like the fans' point of view. Yeah. And Coach Ulbricht's like, look, tape doesn't say what your record is, whether it's week 13, whether it's week 1, fourth quarter, first quarter. So, there's a lot to play here for a lot of the players in the NFL and a lot of the players on the New York Jets. Let's head back inside the bowl to check in with Caroline Hendershot.
Let me just say one thing before I get into my cause, my cleats. All I'm saying is that Nick Mangold should be very thankful that I am not on set because as the superior team yesterday, I just would like to say go blue. That is all.
Caroline, can I ask you something?
Yes, you can.
Did you bring a flag out there on the field today?
I did not bring a flag out there on the field, but, if I did play for 60 minutes, I probably would have showed up. Now, on to my second hit. I will be saying...
I got 4 years. What do you want me to do?
Now, I wanted to focus on...
against Michigan.
It's a rivalry that runs deep. Ohio State, Michigan.
It does.
And Carolina.
I'm coming in there and I'm finding you.
Okay, I will see you in here, Nick. No, I actually wanted to focus on non-Michigan banter for a second. I did want to let everyone know that this weekend for the Jets, it's actually the My Cause, My Cleats weekend, which is where players get to wear a special pair of cleats, whether that is hand-painted or designed or just different than the normal uniform cleats, and they go towards a special cause or a foundation that they are passionate about. Now, I got to interview the man behind the cleats, so to speak, Mike Jordan. He is a Northern Jersey artist who has been doing the cleats for many of the players on the Jets for the past almost 7 years. It started back in 2019 when he saw a YouTube video of someone painting cleats. He had no real artistic background. He hadn't painted since he said he was in elementary school, but he just picked it up and kind of started playing around with it. And since then, he actually got into contact with players on the Jets practice squad back in 2019 and kind of got his foot in the door that way. And since then, now for this weekend, he painted over 30 pairs of cleats and shoes for the coaching staff. So all of the work, not all of it, but a lot of the work that you will be seeing on the field today is that of Mike Jordan.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. I think this cause, what we do in the NFL with My Cause, My Cleats, is something very special. I was able to be a part of it and use my time with Answer the Call and able to have cleats to support that cause, which helps out families of fallen first responders in New York City. So it's something very special and it means a lot to the guys. So you see guys who have their cleats painted, it means something to them. And it's something that I think the NFL has done a fantastic job with.
It's been a great job. And who would have thought that we would have had a Mike Jordan, as in the artist, and a Kobe Bryant, the defensive back for the Seattle Seahawks. Playing in the same game, Nick Mangold, we appreciate your time here on Pregame Central, presented by USVI. And you know what? This is Jets Seahawks, but the Jets finish up their games against the NFC West in a couple of weeks. And Jets fans, you got to lock in your tickets now to see the green and white in action when they host the Los Angeles Rams at MetLife Stadium. Sorry for the technical difficulty, but we're back in action here. Anthony Beck, we haven't spoken about this Seattle Seahawks defense a lot, and they were trying to find their way under new head coach Mike Macdonald earlier in the year, and it feels like recently they've really found their footing, and they just took down the Arizona Cardinals, now tied for first in their own division.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you look at their defensive front, it's very productive. They have about 3 5-sack guys across the board. Leonard Williams has done as good as any defensive tackle the last 2 or 3 games, setting the tone, stopping the run, getting in the backfield, getting that push in the quarterback's face. So again, look, Aaron's going to have to be able to just adjust in the pocket. He doesn't have to be extending plays like the old.
Listen to my song, it isn't very long. You'll see before I'm gone that everybody's wrong. Those of us who run to catch a moment in the sun seem to find that when we're done that we weren't supposed to run.
Right? Do you want to have somebody that already has GM experience to come in the building? Do you want to have somebody that's been around a really good winning culture? And then you can start narrowing those teams down. But I think you got to look at everything, right? You got to check all those boxes. You got to hear everything you can, gather as much information as possible, because when you fire your head coach at week 5 and you fire your GM early, now you have a lot of time to do your homework. So check all the boxes, man. Make sure even the dark horses, the outside of the box guys, do your homework. You may hear something you haven't heard out there that may trigger you to help you moving forward. So again, use this to your advantage. You have the time, and using those 2 guys to help in the process, it's got to help, right? It's got to be a positive.
How about you? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, AB said it all right there. I think ultimately you do have to take the time that you've given yourself, right? You did it early, so now you have that time to get ahead before the draft, before free agency opens up, all those different things.
All right, so we only have a couple minutes left here on Pregame Central, presented by USVI. It's time for our X Factors. Anthony, we're going to wrap up with you. We're going to start inside the bowl with Caroline Hendershot.
All right, my X factor for today is going to be special teams, both the Seahawks and the Jets. Now, the Seahawks, they've had 3 lost fumbles on kick returns, and they had a field goal block that was returned for a touchdown. So they've been struggling on special teams a little bit. The Jets, on the other hand, they haven't gotten the production they have wanted on special teams. Coach Ulbrich talked about that earlier this week. He said whether it's pressuring the punter or it's getting Xavier Gibson going on the returns, he wants to see more of that. So I think both special teams are going to play a big role today.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most obvious thing right now is the Jets D-line. Every week, Geno Smith is back there getting pressure, and it's not even from a blitz. It's from the defensive line getting back there. 3 rushers, 4 rushers, doesn't matter. The D-line is the X factor in this game. They got to make sure they get back there and make it hard for Geno.
Former Jets defensive lineman Leonard Williams, don't let him be the big cat here this afternoon against the New York Jets. Like AB was saying, 2.5 sacks last week against the Cardinals. They could not keep him away from Kyler Murray. The Jets got to provide Aaron Rodgers some time today.
I'm going with Seahawks now safety Kobe Bryant. He was drafted as a corner, transitioned to safety, and he's still new at the position. So to me, a guy like Aaron Rodgers, known to manipulate safeties' eyes, for a guy like Kobe Bryant, who's played at such a high level for Seattle, I'm going with him because he's been a good player. Perhaps Aaron Rodgers has a couple tricks up his sleeve here on December 1st. Anthony, who's your X factor?
Well, before I get my X factor, Caroline's code game right now is strong to quite strong, but I don't think she has Quincy right now. So Quincy takes the title on the jacket. I'm going to go Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, the corners. Right? Listen, the interceptions are very high. When you're talking about the opportunity in this game. hate putting it on the defense every week to get the spurt going, but there's got to be complementary football. Those two players have to find a way to get their hands on a football today. I think today may be their best opportunity.
Look, I know it's cold today, but the New York Jets and Carnival are giving one lucky fan tickets to Celebration Key, Carnival's exclusive destination from now until December 24th. Enter